3, 2, 1.
All right, coming up next is going to be Shmumbler playing Silent Hill Shattered Memories any %. Let's give him a warm welcome. Take it away.
Alright, hey everybody, this is Shmumbler, bringing you good old Silent Hill Shattered Memories, but with a little extra twist. We're going to be running the PSP version on the PlayStation TV. Basically because this is by far the worst version that you can get of this game. So, if you all are ready, I can go ahead and count us down. And we'll get going in 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, so for those who aren't familiar with Shattered Memories, this is basically a Western reimagining of the first Silent Hill game. And basically what it does is it takes that same general story, but puts you into the seat of a psychologist's office where you're working through your past trauma of that night. And so we've got good old Dr. Kaufman here, who's going to be our lovely doctor.
No drugs.
He's
No theories.
something, but we'll get into that later. A lot of this game, well, it's basically split up into 3 parts. So you've got these office sessions with Dr. Kaufman, and then you've got Harry in the normal world and in the other world, like in any of the Silent Hill games. So we're going to be doing a few questions here, just to get us started. This game really tries to actively profile you as you play it. And it does that not only with these office sessions, but it actually takes how you play the game too, which is a really neat concept to me. Like, if I stand over here and I look at these alcohol bottles over here, the game will peg me as an alcoholic. Or if I look at those books, it'll peg me as a nerd. But anyway, here's Harry. Speaking of nerds, he's a little extra nerdy looking in this game. But we're gonna just be running around here for a little bit. If you've ever played Heavy Rain, you know that it has a push whatever to Jason. And, you know, we had Luigi's Mansion earlier, which had push to Mario. This game has push to Cheryl. So that is actually our action button. I'm just gonna go ahead and mash it as much as I can for however long the game actually lets me call for her. So, Cheryl? Have you seen a girl just turned 7 last month, short black hair? Yeah. The way this game tends to play out, though, is it really focuses primarily on exploration. There's several puzzles throughout the game, but they're less puzzles in the traditional Silent Hill sense and more just environmental inspection and figuring out what to do based on the clues you find in your environment. So like here, we come in here and the door is locked, so we come to this computer or security monitor, whatever it is. Move the camera to the door over here and press the button to unlock it. Really simple, but it takes some time to figure out if you're just casually playing it. And then going into a little bit of how the actual speedrun works, this is actually a really chill game. But it's really mostly just optimized movement, dealing with the RNG the game throws at you as best as you can. Like this, for instance, one of these cans has a key in it. We gotta figure out which one it is. Now, normally you would figure out which can it is just by shaking it, and you'd hear the clinking of the key, but, well, in my little tradition, I tend to speedrun this game without any game audio in my ears, so I just turn them all and hope that I get it well. Alright, coming up to the diner that is the hallmark of the beginning of Silent Hill 1. We're gonna meet Sybil Bennett, and interestingly enough, Sybil's entire personality and appearance all change based on your decisions throughout this game. So, the fastest for the run is basically doing all of the bad choices that we can. So we are going to be just the biggest D-bag that we can possibly be, and coincidentally everything will work out in our favor. A good way to actually know that we're doing that too is the little bit you saw of Sybil there. You saw that she was in that black jacket with the black baseball cap. That's a good sign. If we mess it up, then she actually ends up having like a short cropped hair. Looks like Clarice from, gosh, Silence of the Lambs. Jesus, I am having a rough time right now.
Cheryl?
Daddy? Daddy?
Sweetie.
Finally fixing to
okay?
get into our first
Are you
Otherworld
at home?
segment 2. This is where all of
Sweetie,
the time
wait there.
goes to
Wait for
die.
me.
You have to run, Daddy. You can't fight them.
Interestingly enough,
What?
this version of the
Somebody
game,
with you?
I mentioned it's the worst possible version you can do, right? Well, that was the case. It's still the worst looking and the worst performing, but you know, for the longest time we thought that the Wii version of Shattered Memories was the fastest version, just because, you know, motion controls, no lag, it's great. No. So, turns out the fastest version is the PS2 version, but PSP has some interesting quirks. For the bad side, the Otherworld segments like this are way laggier and lose probably 10 seconds every time you do one. And then also, you know, PSP, you only get the left stick, so all these other games you can actually move your flashlight and change the camera and have that extra bit of control. This game puts you right back into tank controls, and it's not fun. On the other hand, you see I'm opening these doors pretty quickly. On the PS2 version, that is not the case at all. Please go down, please go down. Okay, thank you. No! No, 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 no. Okay, this is okay. But, in the normal world segments, Shattered Memories is actually fastest on the PSP, just because there's less loading lag in the room transitions when you open a door. No idea why. That's just how it works. And honestly, I mean, I'll take it.
It's good that we touched on the car crash. That would have been a breakthrough before. But let's leave that.
We're back in
topic
Dr.
for a while.
Kaufman's office now.
I want to talk about.
We're fixing to have a fun little activity. If anyone's played this game casually, they know this part.
I don't mean all
So
that
we're going to be given
touchy-feely crap.
a nice
You're not a
little
very
picture of a
touchy-feely
family
person.
and a home, and we get to color
You're
it.
giving me that
And
look.
the fun part about this
I'm
is,
talking
however
too
you color
much.
the house and the
Well,
car and the
let's have
mailbox
you
and the
talk
people,
or not, or whatever you
that's
feel
how they get
comfortable
colored
doing.
in this next
Let's
cutscene.
play true or false.
But turns out that's just
Is it
completely
true to
optional,
say
so
you're
we're
a
gonna
private
completely
person?
ignore it and everything's gonna be white.
Would you say it takes a while for people to get to know you?
First, we do have to answer a couple questions, though, and these do have to be
People can
answered
choose
with
their friends,
these specific
but not their
choices.
family. Would you prefer to spend time with friends over family?
Every cutscene in this game, too, there's different dialogue paths
Nothing
depending
surprising
on
there.
the choices that you make in these sessions.
Now, you're going
This
to
next
like
scene is
this.
going to
On
be
the table
a
are some
car scene
pencils
with
and a
Sybil,
picture. I
and
want you to let out your
if
inner
we pick these
child and
specific
color
choices,
the
then
picture.
she,
It's titled
when
Happy
we start
Family.
talking about the weather, she just does a
You're
one-liner
finished.
and she's done. Otherwise, she does like a whole paragraph,
What a
and it ends
lovely
up
family
wasting,
home. Is your
depending
home
on
like
which
this?
choice you get, 30 seconds to a minute. Alright, there's the house that's all white, and it's gone. Hope you all enjoyed the activity.
I've been a cop in this town for 20
Now,
years.
something I'm gonna
Before that, I
do
used to
here,
ride around in my
this
daddy's
is
patrol
kind
car,
of
so I know
random,
the
but
town.
sometimes this
People.
cutscene can get
But your face?
bugged out, where when we transition,
Keep out of trouble.
the game will just kind of go into hyperdrive for about 10 seconds.
Tonight everything is out of work.
It seems to be something that's caused by some kind of
No one's saying out driving.
memory leak or corruption or something like that.
It's okay.
We don't understand it. There's no real way to reproduce it, but I have noticed that
Who knows? We only covered basic meteorology in the academy.
if you
Hell,
move all of the
heard about
physics
this while it's
objects in the
happening.
car, it
Yeah,
has a
one of the
higher
close off the
chance of
major
happening.
highways.
And then me moving back and forth like this, that's just another conversation topic pick. If I'm moving around like this a lot, then Sybil will tell me that I'm seeming very restless and very suspicious. And that saves
Very
another
restless
30
back
seconds
there,
to a
Mr.
minute
Mason.
off the
Anything you wanna
dialogue.
tell me?
Restless? Of course I'm
It
restless.
doesn't
I'm
seem
worried
like
about
we
my
got
daughter.
the bug, so we're going to be doing this at regular pace.
Sorry, I didn't mean
But
to.
that's okay.
Hurry up and
That
get us to
really
the
doesn't
station.
happen very much. And this is one spot where you're going to see a little
This
bit
weather's just
why the single control stick is a little worse. So on PS2 right here, I can control where I'm looking in the car with the right stick, and then control the little hand with the left stick at the same time. So I can go from pulling the lock up to the door handle really quick. And, oh, the cursor is really finicky in this game. You can't do that on the PSP version, though. So it's just a little bit slower. Alright, so we're going to take a little trek through the woods now. As anybody who's played Silent Hill 1 knows, this is the best part of the game, by which I mean the part that did not exist, but, you know, whatever. It is a nice looking area, and I hope that the music for this segment is audible. I had to set the sound volume in mind for the fact that the Otherworld sections are much louder than the rest of the game, and I didn't want that to be overwhelming. So I do hope that the music is audible, because this is a stellar soundtrack, probably my favorite of the entire franchise. And I guess before we get to the next Otherworld segment 2, I'll go ahead and explain that a little bit. So, there's not really any combat in this game. At the Otherworld segments, you have these raw shocks, which are the little pink enemies, and they just kind of chase you through the area while you either try to reach the exit or complete some form of objective. And if they get too close to you, they'll grab onto you, and depending on the direction of that, you hit a button to knock them off. We're typically not in any real danger from them. It takes probably 10, 12 attacks for you to actually die, and we shouldn't get hit that much. But the issue is, well, a couple issues. First off, it loses time whenever you're grabbed. That's not great. We want to go fast. But the biggest issue is if 4 of them grab onto you at once, that is an instant death. So the way that the enemies spawn and how quickly they aggro are kind of a mixed blessing and curse. Because you want to get seen as early as possible, since you run a little bit faster when you're being pursued. But obviously you don't want to die. And that also comes down to a lot of the RNG management in this game. Not just trying to get the aggro as quickly as possible, but there's some ways you can kind of avoid enemies that should grab you. Like, if an enemy comes through a door, typically they knock you back and immediately grab onto you. But if you approach a door from the side, then you can kind of just bust through the door while they're sitting and staring at you and get through completely untouched. Alright, so there's a bug here that actually loses time, but I'm going to try to do it anyway. So here's a transition. What you're supposed to do is wait for the ice to take over the whole cabin and then leave. Right now this door is locked, but if I get this right as it comes out, so I did it a little too early. But if I do it right as the ice completely freezes over that door, you're able to go through the door, but the Otherworld transition hasn't happened. And you have to go back into the cabin, hit that trigger all over again, and watch the ice go. And it's a huge time loss, but it's just, I don't know, really funny to me. As far as I know, this is the only version that you can do that to. Alright, back in the other world. This one is a little easier to deal with as far as the start goes because you pretty much always get spotted right here. There should be a guy coming to cross this chasm, and good, he jumped over. That means that we can jump over and be safe. That guy's right there, that's not great. Yeah. So I'm gonna come up here, grab this flare. Got grabbed twice, okay. Oh, you're up here. Good, 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 good. This is great. Only the worst enemy RNG I've ever had in this level. You know, good old marathon luck. On the plus side, though, we got that out of the way, so I should hopefully not have to light the flare in this first half. Because go figure, the flare keeps the enemies from grabbing you, but it also lags the game super hard, and you will lose time. So, maybe a surprise blessing. This is looking really good, actually. You can kind of tell that there's an enemy close to me when Harry looks over his shoulder like that, too. And you're also seeing me pull these things down. You might think that it's slower, but I just go ahead and pull down every single physics item that I come across because, as you can see, you can trigger it from pretty far away and it just warps you forward. Alright, there's part 1 of Otherworld Forest down. Got a little bit of a puzzle here. Nice and simple. I'm gonna play a song for y'all. Boop, 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 boop. And part 2. This one is particularly frustrating because you want to get spotted out in this first area, otherwise you just lose like 10 seconds because the next enemy spawn isn't for 3 or 4 rooms. Oh, there you go. And you're through the door, so that's perfect. Oh, yes. And you're right there. I hit you at the door, though. That is perfect, too. So that actually stuns him for just a moment and lets me get away. So this means that I got the early aggro, and I get to run a little further down here before activating the flare. This is one Otherworld segment where you pretty much always have to use the flare at some point, but the later the better, because you want it to last until you jump the last gap. If you do that, then the enemies pretty much have no chance of catching up to you. Oh, screw you. Oh my god. Let me move, please. Alright, yeah, so I dropped it right there. That's not great. It died just a little bit too soon. I really wish that guy didn't just stop me for 2 seconds. But we made it. It's all good. We're okay. I did say this was a chill run. For the most part, that's true, but every now and then the RNG gets particularly screwy and the game becomes really stressful. This is kind of stressful. But we're done, we're safe, it's all good. So we're fixing to come up to a fan favorite location, kind of. The Midwich High School? Yeah, forget your kindergarten cup, we're not going to elementary school in this game, sorry. But this is kind of a slow part because we're just going to get on a phone call from Sybil and talk to her for about 30 seconds, so if you have anything to read off, this would be a great time.
Well, unfortunately, there's no donations yet,
Harry,
but
I've been calling you. Did you switch your
this
phone off?
is
No, I
a
just,
marathon for charity. We're raising
I don't know where
money
I was.
for the Heartland
Harry,
Animal
you okay?
Shelter.
Yeah,
I'd
I'm
just
okay.
like to remind people that you can type
I'm out of
exclamation
the
point
woods.
donate to get the donation
I'm on a
link, where you
football
can
field.
donate as much as
I
you'd
think
like,
it's the
as
high
long as your
school.
message is
Midwich
family
High School.
friendly.
Listen, Harry,
Might even
Midwich
hear it
has
right
a
on
gym.
stream.
They
If
often
you need
use it
another
as an
reason to donate,
emergency
just
shelter
remember
in
that you
severe
can write off
weather.
your amount on your
Go to
taxes.
the gym and wait
they
there
are
for me.
a 501c3
shelter.
organization. No matter what, though,
Cheryl
we
could have
appreciate
been
you all
taken
for being
there.
here to support this
Yes,
wonderful
Cheryl
program.
could be there. Will you do this for me?
Yeah, I'm going. But if Cheryl's not there, I can't wait. I'm sorry, I just can't.
Harry,
Alright, back to Dr. Kaufman. Let's see what he's got
we
for
get
us
to
this
the
time.
halcyon days of high school.
So, now he's gonna
When I was
basically
starting
give
out,
us
the popular theory
20
said it
question
was their
scenario
mom
where
and
he
dad
asks
that
us
screwed a
what
person up.
all of the different
But if you really
character
wanna screw
stereotypes
someone
we
up, I say,
ascribe to for high
send
school.
them to high school.
And,
I bet your school
you know,
locker was a
we
real
gotta be
mess.
fast, we gotta
You
be
were one of
bad,
those
so we're gonna
organized
pick
chaos
every
types.
vice we can possibly
Right.
pick.
Okay, let's move on. I'm going to throw out some words. Nod when they fit how you were at school.
So let's
Shake
see
your
what
head
we're
if
gonna
you
be.
don't. Ready? Jock.
Yes, we're a jock.
Next. Slut.
Oh, of course.
Drunk.
Yeah, the ending will show that one particularly.
Virgin.
No, it would be a little hard to pick that one considering what we just picked.
Bully.
Yeah, we can be a bully.
And slacker.
And that's the one bad thing we're not gonna pick. We might
Okay.
be all these terrible
Let's take
things,
a
but
different tack.
we're going fast.
On
We're
the
not
table,
slacking.
I've laid out a blank timetable and some cards with lessons on them.
Alright,
Pick
so
out the lessons
another
to
little
show me
activity here.
your
He's making
perfect
us basically
school
put
day.
together our dream
Don't
schedule.
leave any empty.
So,
There are only 4
what's your perfect day
periods
of high
and
school?
Allocated a very generous lunch.
I know for me, I love to do basketball, football, sex ed, and math.
Done?
Yeah, that's one of the few things that
Nice.
the choices
If
really
that
just
was
don't
all there
matter
was
at
to
all.
it, it would have
So
been a
you just pick
breeze,
the
wouldn't
fastest
it?
ones.
Come on. Let's talk more about the bad
Alright,
stuff
heading
that
on to the
happened
high
at
school now. This is where some of the movement optimization really comes into effect. There's... Well, you saw it a little bit with the, me opening the little first aid pack in the cabin to grab the key. There's a lot of stuff like that in this game, and it's really hard with the cursor. But this one, conveniently... Oops. I say conveniently and then I royally screw it up. But when you approach that window and don't turn towards it, when you go into the inspection mode, your cursor starts right on the window pane and you can just press and hold X and the camera panning to the side actually opens the window for you. It makes it a lot simpler than what this game tries to do. Basic rule of thumb for this game is if you have to use the cursor to do it, it's gonna be rough. There's actually another thing that we're gonna do just up here where you have to pull nails out of a window, and you would not think that that is a big deal, but you can lose so much time just pulling those nails out, just trying to get the cursor to actually register as being where you can grab the nail. And the worst of that bunch, there's gonna be like a kind of crooked angled one on the upper right. Most of them, the area that you grab them is, you know, pretty common sense. You grab the head of the nail. And this one, you don't grab the head of the nail, you grab the elbow. Maybe, if the game lets you. So there's one, there's two, there's three, and there we go. So, that went well. I promise that is a lot harder than it looks. Also, just want to throw this out there. We went to the high school. We went through the football field. And then we got access to the rest of the school by walking across a street and through a diner. Kind of a weird campus, if you ask me. But basically, we're going to try to find our way to the gym, which is on the complete other side of the school, because what school realistically has a gym next to their football field? It makes no sense, right? But another thing to bring up about the game's mechanics in general is... Whoops, didn't mean to do that. a lot of these major areas have diverging paths. So here you have the art studio and the planetarium, and either way you're supposed to solve a puzzle to get a phone number to call. I know the phone number, so doesn't really... Oop. Accidentally hit 8 more than once. But yeah, we know the number, so it doesn't really matter. We can just call it and be done. No puzzle required. But the number for the art studio is faster to dial in, so we just go that route. And the way the game works is actually really weird in this regard, because once you go down one path, the other path locks. So if I had gone into the art studio and then left, and then went to the planetarium, that door would be locked. I couldn't go in. So there's a lot of different ways in this game to make every playthrough completely different. Alright. Finally get to meet Michelle. This is pretty much the only actual original character in this game. And she's gonna kind of help us out here. So, greatest basketball team, or baseball team, my bad, Shiners. That's not a bad one. These questions, there's a set pool of them to pull from, but which ones they give you are random. The main one we don't want to see is 12th Night. That is by far the longest one. That said, racquetball is the second longest, and it's arguably worse because you have to move across the keyboard more. So these have been not great. There's some really short ones like Auto or Hawaii. It would be nice to get some of those, but you know, it is what it is. Never expect good luck in a marathon setting. The password that it gets reset to is the same every time, but unfortunately you can't just put that in, you do have to reset the password.
Shit.
Alright, then we got a quick little cutscene that we can't actually skip, and then we'll be going into another one of the other world segments. So,
We moved?
you know, we're about
because
a third of the way through this run so far.
It's not a great neighborhood.
About
Why would we move there?
almost 1 o'clock in the morning for me.
I guess the cop was
1
right.
o'clock.
My ID was old.
It's been a long day. I had a 12-hour shift. This is hour 20 for me. Forgive me. But,
why don't you call?
I'd say this is a good time of the night to give everybody a quick posture check.
No reception.
How are you doing? I look like I'm slouched over. I'm really not. That's just the angle of the webcam. It is looking down on
Yes?
me,
Cheryl?
like everyone
No,
else.
Dahlia. You want me to find her? Who's calling?
It's her father, Harry Mason.
Well,
Is
you
she
may
okay?
be doing a posture check, but
Is she
chat
okay?
wants you to do a
Who the hell do
hydration
you
check.
think you are?
I got you.
What's the...
Leave me
I came
alone.
prepared.
Cheers.
Thank you.
To me.
Hydration is important. Especially in hour 20. Alright, so... what can I say about this? This isn't the worst Otherworld segment, but it's my least favorite regardless, just because it's annoying. This is our first one where you actually have an objective you have to complete, where, we're basically gonna have to go around the school, we're gonna get to the exit, and it's gonna tell us we can't leave yet. So we're gonna have to actually go back through all of this, and take 3 pictures for the shadow gods, or whatever it is that's keeping us locked in here. Wow, you're not gonna aggro hard. Thanks. Alright, well now it's got it. Who knows, maybe that'll actually be lucky. We're gonna get grabbed right here. No? Okay. Oh, you're right there. I snuck past you. Perfect. Love to see it. But yeah, just the fact that you have to run around in the other world where there's enemies and casually take pictures, I don't like it. Story-wise, it's really neat because, you know, you find out that all of these pictures are actually of Cheryl, or Heather, as she is called in this game. And all these photos, if you go into your phone after taking them, you actually get a clear image of what's happening there, and basically it's just this real tragic story where she got bullied like nothing else throughout all of high school, and pretty much, yeah, she was sexually assaulted by her teachers and basically got bullied for that. It's really just not a good time. Oh. That's unfortunate. I try to time that picture at the last possible second because that enemy is always there and he can actually be very helpful. Because if he grabs you while your phone is out, you put the phone away immediately instead of having to mash circle to get out of it. So yeah, here's the picture that shows what I was just talking about. So this is one of the teacher's cars. Here she's got Cheryl in with it, and everybody sees it as her trying to get in with the teacher, when really the teacher's just being a creep. Wow, you guys are being brutal today. This is supposed to be like a low aggro time of the other world because they don't want you to get too overwhelmed taking your pictures. But they are just going ham. So we're done with that part. Gonna meet back up with Michelle, and this is gonna be...
Harry?
I'll say cozy. This will be the most cozy part of the run. We're just gonna have a nice little walk and talk. Learn a little bit more about Michelle because, you know, who really wanted a Silent Hill 1 reimagining for the Silent Hill 1 characters? It's obviously the OCs that we want to see more of, right?
I was planning on getting a ride with John. There's my boss's SUV.
You know, if I remember correctly, too,
looking
that
after it while she's on
outfit she's wearing
vacation.
changes
At the club where I work.
depending on your
Not
choices,
far from
too.
here. I could give you a lift.
But we did tell Dr. Kaufman we were a slut,
Lead the
so...
way.
And I don't mean that derogatory towards her, I mean...
My jacket? You're going to...
Harry wants to see a pretty lady, so they made her pretty.
I feel bad, you're sure?
I think sometimes... Oh, I don't know what the other outfits are. I've done so many runs of this that I've pretty much forgotten what the casual playthroughs can be like, which is a little sad.
Sleeping, then the crash. She was gone.
Yeah, this is straight up just walking around, listening to her talk.
I'll make sure
I am trying to take as straight lines as possible here because there is a little bit of speed up you can take advantage of where you're walking slightly faster than her, and if you get close enough to passing her, she'll actually speed up for a few seconds. On the PS2 version, there's actually a possibility for you to get in front of her and she'll push you at her faster walking speed, which is great. But, oh, I got it a little bit there. PSP version, I don't know if it's
Really? It's pretty popular.
impossible,
What do you do?
I sing.
but it's definitely way harder.
Sometimes I mix drinks. It's a temporary thing while John and I sort things out. He's staying in Massachusetts. He's a lawyer. We need to decide if I'm going to move out.
We do also meet her boyfriend
Wanna go to
later on.
Massachusetts?
Yeah. Well,
That whole story depends too, like everything else in this game, but we're actually gonna make it where he's the good guy and she's the bad girl.
we've been together for 5 years.
Which is funny because in every other possible outcome,
Living our lives.
he dumps her and he's this huge,
He's probably just lousy at showing it. I know lawyers.
you know what, leading her on and ignoring her.
John's not like that.
But in this one, she's just sick of him, so she's very flirty with us and tries to make him jealous, and it doesn't work out. Another favorite location of Silent Hill, the good old Balkan nightclub. You know, I joke about all the weird changes in this game. I really do love Shattered Memories. It's a great game. It got a lot of hell when it first came out, just because of it being you know, Silent Hill 1 redone. But
Hey, no looking where you're
it's got a lot of really cool ideas, and it literally whoops,
Oh, nobody.
grab those. It literally profiles you as you play. When you get to the end and you hit the credits, it actually types out a full psychological profile on you, and it's really interesting. It can actually get pretty accurate considering there's only 6 possibilities.
Are we the only people on the road? Because that means we don't have to stop for any red
And that
lights.
whole searching segment, real simple, just
Screw that.
the keys show up in the 3rd place you look no matter what, so we go to the room on the left because it has the quicker layout. You just
You're not gonna be sick,
look in
right?
the basket on the right, look in the purse on the left, and then behind the curtains. Very simple straight line, nice and quick, get out of there, no problems.
Don't do this to me, Harry. Don't start tripping out on
No,
me.
you know, just casually going down the icy streets with
Damn right.
Dahlia Gillespie, who's no longer the old witchy woman of Silent Hill, but instead is this teenager who
You really
looks
don't know who I am.
very much
Nancy?
like what you would expect Cheryl to look like.
My tits? You named them?
We're sleeping together?
This is a joke, right? A really lame joke.
Also, the naming part, that is a direct result of our choices as well. Yeah, turns out that's actually a faster dialogue path as well. Got another little puzzle here. We have to take this drawbridge down, which actually is a callback to Silent Hill 1. But we're gonna do it by pulling some levers. So red is the far left, yellow is the far right, blue is the middle, and then green is wait. I think that was okay. I might have left a little too soon. Nope, looks good. So the order of... Oh, no, it didn't. And I got... Oh, no, I went down the ladder. No, go back. Go back. Abort. So if you get the green as the last one, you can leave a little bit early. Okay, that's good. And it'll still drop the bridge, but I left a little too early and so it didn't. You know, I gotta try the tricky stuff. Even though there's literally no point, it would have saved less than half a second, and I was just being greedy.
You know me. You know my daughter too.
Here's why the PS2 and the PSP version is faster than the Wii, though. So this cutscene right here,
Back to weird, Harry.
well,
What does that mean?
not right here, but right after this,
Stop it.
it's going to transition to a cutscene, and you can skip that in these
Let's not
versions,
go there.
but you can't in the Wii version.
What are you to me?
No idea why.
Why do you have to be like this?
But it's a long cutscene, and that makes all the difference.
Harry?
Like, even skipping this cutscene, the PS2 version is less than a minute faster than the Wii version. It's crazy. So bridge froze, we're sinking. How do you get out of a car that's sinking? Equalize the pressure, obviously. So we're gonna roll down all the windows to make the car sink a little faster. I used to open the doors here, but I've done a little bit of tinkering, and I actually don't think that that makes the car go any slower or faster. So I just do the windows first, then I go to unlock that front door to make that open a little quicker when we actually are able to escape. And then if I have any time left over, I'll come over here and pull the door handle over and over just in case it's faster. But the main thing is definitely rolling down the windows. And there we go, hit the bottom. Gonna look down to the side here. The flashlight always goes to the side you're not sitting on. Wait for the light to show. Go ahead and grab it before it actually looks visible. And then look out the window, pop up to the front. You thought we were icy before, but now we're extra icy. gonna wait for these guys to finish scratching messages into our windshield, and then we are gonna be saved by the glorious, sweet, soothing sounds of Mary Elizabeth Flynn. I think that was far enough.
Do we have a little time to go over the incentives?
Sure.
All right. So, like I said, incentives. Right now we're about $8 away from the Wii Play Motion Flutterfly All Levels incentive. We have the Mega Man Eternal Gallery Showcase incentive at $20, which we have none yet. Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance cosplaying as Raiden, which seems like that would be pretty cool for $20. Kuno running Town of Light at the end of the marathon, which $100, but I mean it's kind of worth it. And one for Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, upgrading the language to Polish, which was the original language of the books. So with that, I hand it back to you.
Alright, so, fun fact, since I played this game without any audio, I actually messed that up, and we're just gonna die and take the slow way out. That actually loses a good minute of time, but we should still be plenty good. I actually have the estimate, like,
You could die tonight.
a little way extra far out on this, just because of stuff like that. But yeah, so I actually had the dial right, but if you let go of it, it resets the position and then it just gets weird, and sometimes even when you do put it in the right position after that, it still won't thaw out the car, and you're just stuck sitting there waiting to drown.
Get to my age, you'll have seen plenty of people die. There 1 minute, then gone. Okay, game time.
You know,
There
I
are 7
keep
pictures
talking
of
about
people on
how
the
the
table.
activities
Your
in
job is
here
to tell me
matter,
who is
and
dead and who is merely sleeping.
you have to
Divide
do
them up.
specific things.
Left,
When he asks the
dead,
questions, that's true, but
sleeping.
you know, now that I think about it, really any kind of activity like this, it's just do it as quickly as you can. This doesn't matter.
Done?
It does affect the
It's just an
profile at the end,
exercise.
but
There's no
as
right
far as how
answer.
quickly the game goes, it doesn't matter.
Actually, they were all dead.
There are a couple of ways you can change the dialogues in some of these activities, but at this point on, every dialogue that you can change, it's all the same length, which, you know, you wouldn't think that's the case, because different sentences take different amount of times, but no,
Girl,
they are
the car
exactly
ran
the
into
same.
she drowned.
It's
Another crash?
kind of bizarre, makes you think
This
they
is a
actually
different
timed it
girl?
out for that.
You must have seen the bridge. We went right off the side.
Harry, the bridge has been closed since the storm started.
So,
You swam.
I don't know if anybody's ever
Hypothermia.
watched Starwood run this, but
Close.
this
You were
this
soaked
part
in
right
steam.
here is
I grabbed you off
the
the front
sole
here.
reason to play this game on the Wii.
We need to talk. When I was at the station, I pulled the file on
Because with
Harry
motion
Mason.
controls, in this part, you physically wheel yourself down the hallway, and it's great. It's cringy as hell, and I love it. Here, it's just good old-fashioned button mashing. You don't even have to do it particularly fast. I'm doing it like... That's as fast as I'm going, and that's as fast as he can go. Really nice and simple. In fact, I don't even have to really mash it like this. I did tinker with this a little bit, and you only actually have to push the button whenever his hands get to the top of the wheel again. Let's see. Which one is this? Why am I pressing the phone? I must have played a game the other day where circle was run, because I keep hitting that button on accident. Alright. Do I get the early aggro? Doesn't look like it. This segment isn't too terribly bad. Okay, good, I got an early one. Yeah, the big thing for this is just it's really easy to get a slow aggro. I don't know what has been this run. They are so aggressive. It's so weird. Oh yeah, hit him in the face. I'm really glad that you can take so many hits, because this is... Good lord. Okay, so you're there. That's far enough away. I'm not gonna grab the flare. I should be good. This door right here is the exit anyway. Whew! Man. The RNG does not want to let me have any fun tonight. Alright, here's another one of the good old-fashioned Shattered Memory style puzzles. Turn the dial. Too far. 101.5. And then 555-881, and then the number of the song we want to call. What song is going to get us out of this puzzle?
Thanks for calling Alchemilla Radio. Your request has been selected for broadcast.
Obviously, we have to pick Daddy's Girl. So, all of those songs are songs that you can pick and you can play them in the game. But there's only one right one, so... Rip. Alright. We finally get to see someone that we actually kind of recognize. Good old Lisa Garland.
Come on. God, please open.
With red hair now.
Are you okay?
This is actually going to be another one of the walking segments. So if you have anything to read or talk about, this would be another good time.
Damn it. I wasn't supposed to be here. I shouldn't have been here.
Hey.
Sorry. I'm just upset.
Sorry about that.
Don't worry.
Yeah. So I just want to remind everybody that we do have the schedule in the chat. All you have to do is exclamation point schedule.
I'm okay.
If you want to help out the Heartland Animal Shelter, but you don't want to use the Teltify link, you can do exclamation point wish list, and that will take you to their Amazon wish list, and you can directly buy them supplies that way.
That is a really neat concept.
My daughter went there after our accident.
Isn't it though? It's really cool.
Crashed my car. I don't know how long.
Yeah, so I don't know if she's made any appearances in the background, but I actually have my cat in the room with me here.
I know it doesn't quite add up.
And I would hate to imagine what she would be going through if we didn't get her, because she was a barn cat. So definitely Heartland Animal Shelter is something that, I mean, it's a great thing to help out with. Even if you're not getting one of the animals yourself to take care of, just making sure that they have the supplies to take care of these animals, especially since they're one of the few places that are just completely anti-euthanasia. Like, it's a really great cause to help contribute to.
For sure. And they saved, helped out over almost 2,000 animals last year. So with our help, hopefully they'll be able to keep doing that.
Not long now.
You holding up?
I'm fine.
Alright, not a whole lot longer in this walking segment
Just need to
left.
get home and put my feet up.
Just gonna get through this little alley up here, and then we're good.
What happened there?
But
Hazy.
Lisa's got a little bit more of an attitude than she did in the original game.
You were alone?
She's also got a lot more confidence and a lot less shame, as we're gonna see here in a little bit. And I apologize for this in advance, but I got ahead of her. That's the first time I've done that on this version. That's gonna be really nice.
I remember coming off the road.
Okay, so that is actually gonna save, like, oh, you got back in front. Why did you do that to me? Okay, so if I had managed to stay in front of her, she would have gone at her quick walking pace, and that actually would have saved me about 7 seconds there. But it's okay. We'll deal with it. But yeah, I apologize for this in advance. This is speedrun tech. And yes, I do have to zoom in. I have tested that. It doesn't matter if you're looking. If you're not zoomed in, the game doesn't care. But it is faster to watch her because she gets mad and makes her next dialogue way shorter. That said, I believe you can be kind of up. It's really hard to make it where you can just barely not see her. So I hope that works. Nope. It didn't think we were a pervert, so worst of both worlds. Yay.
Harry. Thanks. I feel safe around you.
So enjoy this little bit of dialogue that you will never see in another speedrun.
Pills from the bathroom. Check the cabinet. Get me some
Because
Noah.
I just felt like experimenting a little bit.
So we just got another
Look in the
reward
cabinet.
donation thing for
Bottom shelf.
hydration. So take a drink. It's time.
Alright, we'll
Cheers.
do. Let's see. I got a cutscene coming up here, so just a second. Alright. Cheers.
You feel guilty about everything. When we all lived in huts and wore furs, we worried
Helping
over
me
the
offset
simple
all the
things.
kidney stones that these things are
Food,
probably going to give me.
water, whether animals would come and eat us in the night. Now we have supermarkets, bottled water, and 38 caliber home
You can thank
security.
chat for that one.
So what keeps us awake at
Oh
night?
yes. Thank
More
you,
often
blessed
than
chat.
not, guilt. If only I had acted differently. If only I hadn't said that. If only I'd said something.
So,
Beat
this
yourself up
is
with your past.
Kaufman's longest monologue.
Don't blame yourself. Blame the world.
I hope
Blame God.
you like
Blame
listening
me.
about guilt, because this is a full 2 to 3 minutes
Okay, this is my favorite.
just spent on this
Let me
story.
introduce some friends of mine.
And
This
it's
is
something
King
that our
Henry.
choice does not
His
matter at all
daughter,
for.
the
He's
chaste
going to tell us which
Celestine,
one, or ask
a
us which one of
prince
these is the
called
most guilty.
Wilhelm, and
We're just
a
going to leave it
bull.
how it is.
He doesn't have a name. Prince Wilhelm is passionately in love with Celestine, but she does not love him. One
Just
day,
let him kinda
Wilhelm
give
comes
his
to the
spiel
king
here.
and asks for Celestine's hand in marriage. Celestine begs the king not to marry her to Wilhelm, but the king ignores her pleas. Royal protocol means he must say yes to the match. They are married, and Wilhelm takes Celestine back with him to his kingdom. That night, he attempts to consummate the marriage, but the distraught Celestine flees. She runs from the safety of the castle and across a field, ignoring the sign which warns of danger. In that field is a bull, who, seeing the girl, charges her. She falls under his
So if we have a little
hooves
bit of
and is
downtime,
killed
I could ask
instantly.
you a quick question.
Sure, go ahead.
What I want you to do is
So
line the
how did
players
you get
up
into
according to how
running
guilty
this
they
game
are of
exactly?
Celestine's death. Whose
Well,
fault was it? At the left,
so I
most
started out-
culpable, to the right.
My first
most innocent.
speedrun ever was
You wanna
Silent
hear
Hill
that
Homecoming.
again?
And so I've just kind of been
Done.
drawn to the more
Poor bull.
despised
You
Silent Hill
couldn't
games.
ignore the facts.
This was always
He
on my
was the
list,
one
but
who
I
killed
didn't
her.
really pick this up until after Starwin ran it
I
on
find the
Speedruns for the
best cure
Crypt
for
on
guilt
the GDQ channel.
is to never get caught in the
Um,
first place.
There
Let's
was a lot of
continue.
discourse in the Silent Hill Discord at the time because one particular person was just absolutely convinced that the PS2 version was actually faster than the Wii version, and they were trying to get more people involved in speedrunning the PS2 version. Because right now there's only 3 of us still on the leaderboard that have a PS2 run on there. So, you know, I still have a PS2 copy, luckily, because that price has skyrocketed beyond belief in the past year or two. But, you know, figured it would be nice to join that cause, and turns out, yeah, the PS2 version is actually faster. Although, so this is a little funny. PSP version, I keep mentioning, is the worst possible version, and I'm 100% serious about that. But I was practicing
God, Harry.
for this. What? I think it was Monday.
Wrong. Harry,
And
you gotta come back.
Keep talking, Lisa.
kind
What's
of
wrong?
accidentally got
Oh God.
the God RNG
Lisa?
and got world record, general world record for this game on the PSP version.
Congratulations, man. That's impressive.
Yeah, so, you know, the worst version of the game is currently the world record fastest run of the game, which is really funny to me. It only beat my PS2 run by 1 second, and if I had had that RNG on the PS2 version, it probably would have been about 40 seconds faster. But, I mean, just out of nowhere, I never would have expected that. Alright, here's Lisa. So, we gave her the wrong pill, and because of that, she's dead.
Stand up and step away from the
By
girl,
which I mean she was gonna die either way, but this way it's our fault.
What have you done?
And
She was in
so,
an accident. I didn't do this.
Accident. Shut the hell up. You've been feeding me bullshit.
kind of a
all
similar
night.
scene to Lisa in the Nowhere Hospital at the very end of the game.
I know you're not
But
Harry Mason.
instead of being because she's just a cognition of Alessa's that falls apart and becomes puppeted. No, we just straight up murdered her on accident. I guess that's more manslaughter, isn't it? One of the interesting parts of this game that doesn't really become apparent until this point, and really only here if you're paying really good attention. Every time we make a transition to the other world, it's because something about Harry's identity or something about the truth of events is fixing to be revealed. And so we get this really neat concept of, ooh, you guys are down there. I don't like that. Why are you guys doing this to me? This is wild. Usually I jump down into the pool and that saves me from these guys, but they were all already in the pool. Oh, you. I don't like this. There's no avoiding you. Wow. I can't even be mad. Look at this. This is glorious. Alright, yeah, I'm definitely grabbing this flare. Wow. Man, I thought my run the other day had bad RNG. This is something else. This is truly spectacular. I am just light it. I am beyond belief. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted by these incredibly mean raw shocks, this game has the really cool concept where the other world basically freezes the world over as this coping mechanism so that you don't have to deal with the truth of the game. And I think that is really clever. There's always been this philosophical element to Silent Hill, but it's always nice to see it taken in a different direction. You'll find essays everywhere about how Silent Hills 1, 2, and 3 kind of follow the id, ego, and super ego, or the conscious, subconscious, and unconscious of Sigmund Freud. It's cool to have a different perspective on it all. Alright, here is the big RNG for the puzzles. I hate this. This is the killer of runs. We have to get all the colors of the toucan's beak that we saw for maybe a couple frames earlier as I passed it in the streets, and we were just supposed to remember that somehow. But we're looking for a red, yellow, pink, and purple gumball. There we go. And I hate to say it, but that was actually pretty average, as slow as that seemed. Yeah, that can... If you get really good drops there, it can take 20 seconds to finish that. Otherwise, you're losing minutes. Just because the game decided you should. With the enemies, you can sometimes at least kind of finagle your way into avoiding hits that should get you. Nah. You are completely at the mercy of the game there. Also, shoutouts to the fact that for me to judge whether a run is good, I tend to look at getting out of the mall segment at under an hour. We're already past an hour at this point, and I'm not even in the movie theater, so this is going great. Tank controls. That said, as terrible as this has been, we are still looking like we're gonna be underestimated by a couple minutes, assuming nothing absolutely horrendous happens, so, you know, there's that. Oh, so, I do actually have to pick up the phone and hang it up there, because go figure, you can't interact with anything if the phone is ringing. Oops, wrong one there. 1789. Very bad habit I have in this game is whenever there's a keypad, I always hit circle to back out of it after I finish it. And that's not good. Circle in this game brings up your cell phone. You actually back out of it just by waiting. And so my natural habit is to bring up the phone and waste time, because then you have to spend 3 or 4 seconds getting back out of the phone before you can open the door. I've actually done surprisingly well on that. Oh. Cool thing, I'm gonna lose a little bit of time here just to show this off, but Konami arcade cabinets.
Classics.
Nice little Easter egg there. Got Contra, Russian Attack. I think there's another one on the other wall. Don't remember what it is. And just a little bit of trivia that doesn't really pertain to this game, but I also run Downpour, and Vatra Games, you were mediocre, but you did not deserve the fate you got. So, Vatra was the company that made Downpour. They had made one other game beforehand, which was Russian Attack. Well, I actually can't remember the exact title of it anymore, but it was a Russian Attack game, which is like a 2D side-scrolling shoot-'em-up. And they went from that to Downpour. And they wondered why it didn't turn out great. But it is what it is. At least Downpour is fun to run. Alright, so minor optimization there. Just backing out of this puzzle when I finish turning the bolt resets the cursor to the middle of the screen. so I don't have to spend as much time moving the cursor. It saves surely less than a second, but you know, every little bit helps, especially when we're as far behind as we are. Alright. We are fixing to hit the nowhere segment.
Still at the lighthouse, maybe.
Lighthouse?
What are you doing?
Right after we talk to older version of Dahlia.
Isn't this my house? Who are you?
So in this game, Dahlia is not just Cheryl's actual mother, but she's actually her mother and Harry's actual wife in this game. The Dahlia we see in the car is the Dahlia that Harry knew before they were married, when they were younger and full of love and passion. And this is current Dahlia, who's dealing with the fact that, well, spoilers, Harry's dead. Harry is not alive at all in this game. We are playing someone that does not exist. Yeah, so the big twist in this game is we're actually playing as Heather, who is seeing Dr. Kaufman for therapy because she has not accepted the fact that her father died in a car crash 18 years ago, if I'm correct. So this whole time we're basically playing through Heather's ideal father scenario of the night of the crash. Basically thinking, oh, my dad loved me so much, so he would have spent all this time looking for me and trying to save me. When in reality, no, he just crashed and he didn't make it, and he was kind of always a lousy father to begin with. This game is not kind to Harry at all. Another PSP exclusive bit for this game. Not all of this is the same on the PS2 version, but if I go all the way to the side and look up like this segment will last forever. It will not continue. Don't know why this is the only version that does that. But yeah. If you ever want to lose time for no reason, that is a perfectly good way to do it. Alright, so the Nowhere segment in the original Silent Hill 1 was kind of a hodgepodge of all the different locations you went through in the game. Here it's somewhat similar in concept, except instead of a hodgepodge of the locations you've been, it's this conglomerate of different rooms of a house. So, taking the same general concept but applying it to Heather's home life instead of Harry's adventure. This is actually looking kind of good. One grab there is perfectly fine as long as this guy doesn't grab us. Yep, this is better than average. About time. And this segment's pretty straightforward. A lot of it is just continue forward until you reach the next segment. We are fixing to get out of this part down into a deeper layer where we actually have a maze to go through. And this is something that I like to do about this game, or just as a mechanic, that a few games have done, but it's something that I wish more games would do. We're gonna be in a maze after we get out of this jumping segment here, where the maze is a maze constructed out of shadows. And so the only way to see where you're supposed to go is to shine your flashlight. Simple. Maybe not too terribly unique of an idea, but it's something you don't see much. I appreciate we go. So here's our shadow maze. If I turn off the flashlight, you see you can't see anything. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Kind of just hit the outside and then come in here and you're done. And then we have a chase segment. This guy always spawns behind us, so it's typically pretty easy to get early aggro here. And another great thing is this is always a set path, so you can always just hit this flare right here, and it's no problem. Very convenient. It makes this a lot less reliant on randomness, like the other segments that, or the other chase segments that you have to go through. Again, I'm not really being chased at this point, but every time I pull down a physics object, it does warp me forward, so why not? That was a gold split.
You know, I think we're getting somewhere.
Okay.
We're all tied up in this marriage thing. Marriage worked a lot better when we didn't live
someone decided
so
to visit.
We have phrases like the honeymoon is over to remind us how quickly marriages sour.
Every now and then she gets a little needy, and she literally jumps into my lap and sits on my controller, so I'm very surprised and very pleased that I managed to get a gold split while a cat was sitting on my hands.
For the kids? Do you think it's a bad idea to marry young? You think
also, shoutouts to this game
after marriage?
For being made as long ago as it was.
You know what?
And allowing you to just straight up pick the same-sex couples here.
Test. On the table are 6 pictures. All you have to
this
do
game
is sort
had to
them
have been
into 3
made. Let's see,
married
this game
couples.
was made just after Homecoming. So that was what, 2008, 2009?
All finished.
Not a lot of games, especially of this kind, that
now tell
would
me
let you
which
do that.
of those couples are still together. I'm joking. You know I'm just trying to provoke you, right? Well, let's
Alright,
keep
getting
going.
into
We're really
the
making
final segments
progress
of the
here.
game now. We're back with Michelle, and here is his boyfriend John, and we are gonna make him feel completely inadequate because we can. And no, you can't get the same bug here where it speeds it up, but I just like rolling down the windows. There's really no way to waste time here, so you know, just playing around, having a little bit of fun. Eventually, they're gonna get mad at each other. She's gonna make him stop the car and leave, and I'm gonna go ahead and get set up here.
Stop the car. What? Stop the car.
Same thing as with Cheryl. We're gonna with Sybil. We're gonna wait for them to leave, get up to the front seat, and get out of the car. So I'm just gonna get set up on the door handle here. Go ahead and hold the button that makes me move, and that'll move me as soon as that action becomes available. And just go straight into pulling the door handle. It's a lot harder to mess this one up than Sybil's police cruiser, because you don't have to... Okay, so the cursor was on the handle, but it wouldn't let me pull it. That's new. Of course, the game wants to prove me wrong every time I say something. But that part is easier than getting out of Sybil's because you don't have to mess with the lock. The door is locked or unlocked from the get-go. Of course, a Silent Hill 1 game wouldn't be complete without a sewer segment. Thankfully, this one is not near as bad as the one in the original game. No enemies, no chase, just a nice, casual jog. And then a phone call at the end, because why not? The original game, you have the little lizard crawlers everywhere. It's extremely random whether you're going to get hit or not. Sometimes you can get hit like 3 or 4 times and you end up having to pick up some extra healing to make it through alive. Here, nothing to worry about. Just walk on through, open the door, and you're done. This is my favorite song on the soundtrack. Always have to hand it to Akira Yamaoka. His soundtracks are always top-notch, even if the game is not as great. Homecoming's another example of that. Great soundtrack, not so great game. Alright, get ready. This is the last time that we are gonna see Michelle. And she's gone. Oops, that is...
We're getting deep in
Okay,
it now.
fine.
I can almost taste it.
So yeah, that's the last we're gonna see of her.
All this talking, and we still
At this
haven't
point,
touched
the
on
only
sex
people we
thing.
have left to keep
That's
us
what you're
company are
thinking.
Dr. Kaufman
Aren't all
and
psychiatrists supposed to be obsessed
Dahlia.
with sex?
And we're
It's
not even
not
gonna see
us.
Dahlia all that much.
It's you.
But we do have
You're obsessed with not having sex.
one more activity for
Come
good
on.
old Dr. Kaufman.
Let's have some fun. See the pictures on the table? I want you to divide them up. The ones
there.
you think are a sexual symbol go on the left.
But this
ones
is
that
the good
aren't,
old
the
classic.
right.
We're given a bunch of Rorschachs, and we're gonna pick out which ones seem sexual to us and which ones don't. The real funny part about this is,
Done?
if you say that none of them are sexual, he calls you out
None of them?
and says that you are
Now you're
a
screwing
liar.
with me. You're in denial about sex.
I mean,
Sex and death. Sex
no,
is
no,
death.
I'm really not.
It's a
I don't see
leap into the
anything
void.
sexual about a
It's a
skull
great
or a
loss of
dragonfly or a
self.
butterfly.
The
Like
tiger
these are
in space.
these aren't
A
even
plea
traditional
for
Rorschachs where it's
annihilation.
just
To
inkblots. Like
deny
these are
sex
very
is
obvious
to deny
images.
death
And
itself.
no, I don't see it. Sorry, man.
You know, people who are getting enough don't need analysis.
And I have tried changing it where I put just
You
one on the other
clearly
side,
are
and
not
he doesn't
getting
call you
enough.
out. But like I said earlier, the
Let's
dialogue
see
is
this
still
through to
exactly
the
the same
end.
length. It only changes the first sentence, and it just happens to be the same size. Alright, we are getting close now. We've got one last puzzle area, one last chase sequence, and then we are done. I hope you all have been enjoying this. It's been fun to run. It's been fun to see all of the terrible RNG that I can manage to collect in a single run. You know, nobody ever expects to have a PB in a marathon setting. So, being kept on my toes like this, it, you know, sure it might be frustrating if I was actually caring about this run, but, you know, I feel like it's been a little entertaining, no? Here's our last puzzle. It's, like all the others, pretty easy. So there's a shadow girl that we're gonna try to uncover. The first one's here. The second one's behind here. I used to go around behind the waves to get this one, but it turns out you don't even actually have to go behind it. You can just go up to it and it'll count. Come up here. And then the last one, gonna be right here. Now we just have to wait for the Shadow Child to run through the ice and destroy it. And we're through. I do think it's a little funny that we get onto a boat in this game. It feels like it's actually incorporating some locations from Silent Hill 2 into here. And the Balkan nightclub actually makes me feel that even more. Because I feel like that might be a nod to Heaven's Night. Here we are in the last chase sequence. Dahlia's going to give us a call. And there is a glitch that can happen here. And I don't think I got it. She's going to call me back for sure, isn't she? Yeah.
Harry, come
So,
back.
Sorry.
I've only done this once.
I love
I've
you,
never been able to
Harry.
reproduce it.
Sorry.
But it is possible to answer the call and immediately hang up. Which makes it where she doesn't call back. But otherwise you're stuck listening to her little spiel and then hanging up the phone like normal. If that could become reproducible, that would save about 10 seconds. But I have no idea how to do it. So now we're just going to run towards the lighthouse until we start attracting some enemies. And this is actually going to be a mandatory death here. But yeah, this is definitely a scene from Silent Hill 2. This is 100% taking the boat out towards the lighthouse. Really interesting choice for them to include it here. I'm actually really curious why they decided to do that, but it's a nice touch. It's a nice scene. But what we're going to do here is we're going to try to get the instant death, where we collect 4 of these guys. You just kind of despawned, didn't you? Alright. So it seems like every time you push off the first raw shock, for me anyway, that it seems to increase the spawn rate of these guys. Alright, turn around so you can get my back. Come on, bud. There we go. Yeah, that was pretty decent. Yeah. It's another part that can be random based on the spawns, but you get all 4 of them on you, so you get instantly killed. That triggers this. And now we're in the water. So, the game wants to tell you to swim to the lighthouse. No. If you just sit here and drown, you actually save about 45 seconds. So, that's what we're going to do. You can actually look under the water with the right trigger, but that doesn't affect how quickly you drown. There is actually, you see here, under the water, it's hard because you can't control how much you look under the water in this version, but the car that Harry crashes at the start of Silent Hill 1 is under there, along with a little ice figure of Cheryl. It's the small details that make this game so nice and neat. Alright, coming up on the end here. Gotta skip this last cutscene real quick. And time is going to come when, not this door, but when I get inside this building, I'll go down a hallway, and time will be when I open the door at the end of the hallway. So here we go, and time.
This is going nowhere. I'm spelling it out, but you're not listening.
How'd we do?
Your troubled school days? How
Looks
you're
like your
conflicted
time was
about
1:23:28.
Your denial of death?
All right,
The
I'll take it.
unfounded guilt? Abnormal sexuality? 18 years
Yeah, so
of denial. A whole
there's Shattered
universe of
Memories.
fantasy in
It's,
that thick skull of
like I
yours.
said, a pretty simple speedrun. It's really
with agents
just
of repression,
optimizing your movement,
blind
dealing with
children
whatever
clutching
RNG the game
photos in
throws
the
at you
dark,
as far as the
pale
enemy aggro.
freaks, goggle-eyed
It's a
from
really
watching home
easy
movies on
game
loop.
to pick up and learn.
The term
Really,
is complicated
at
grief.
this point, any of the 3 versions can be considered competitive.
A young girl. Her
So you
parents
don't
died
have to drop
alone. She blames herself,
$80 to $100
as all
on the
children
PS2
do.
version if you
Then
don't
daddy
want to.
dies.
But
What's a girl to do?
if you want to learn how to play the game,
Deny that daddy died.
come join the Silent Hill
Deny who
speedrunning
daddy
Discord. You
was.
can find the link
What
in
7-year-old
any of the
actually
Silent Hill
knows who their
pages
parents are
on
anyway?
speedrun.com.
So she obsesses and
We'd be
obsesses
glad to
over
have
this
anybody,
fantasy
and
dad propping up her
we're always glad to
make-believe
help.
with scraps of a happy life that never was.
Awesome. Thank you
Scraps